Yo. Good morning. As per usual, I'm just going to give you a minute to see if anyone's going to join me live. Feeling very zen today. I went to the chiropractor this morning, and that's kind of what's sparked this live stream today, because I have a lot of people and energies in my life that would affirm to me my desire to do and create. Hey Taylor. And so what I've really been feeling to do, and what I have been doing, is create a lot of space and to really let a lot of things go. And I don't mean let things go in a traumatic sense. I mean in a allowing myself to not feel like I have to cling on to or rejuvenate things that don't feel like a full body fuck yes. I have in the past been very good at continuing on with things and kind of like injecting them with a new energy and getting a bit more juice out of things, or running something again, or you know continuing on a coaching relationship with a client if they felt that it's aligned for them, even if I felt like we've probably reached the end of what we need to do for now and they need to go and implement a bit. Because I've always been very good at being able to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of muster the strength, or like, reinvigorate things. And yet recently I haven't felt to do that. It's felt like too much effort. And I don't mean that in terms of I don't want to put the work in. I mean it in terms of I have previously shamed myself for not wanting to put the work in, when actually all that was happening was that my soul, spirit, my sacral was saying to me, it's cool, you're done with this now and you get to move on, right? So manifesting generator in human design, very much like, okay, cool, I'm done with that, next. And very much enjoying how lovely my white teeth are. After having them done at the dentist the other day, I'm like, wow, it's really made a difference. I can really see it. Worth the 2 hours with a laser in my face, clockwork orange styly. And so I very much felt this call to slow down. And in the past, when I felt that slowing down, I've made an instant connection with, oh no, I'm getting depressed. Oh no, I'm not going to make any money. Oh no, I'm not inspired to create. But that's who I am. I create. This is what I do. Oh my God, who am I if I'm not constantly pumping new stuff out? And I could feel just all these pieces of identity falling away. When I went to the chiropractor today, I was, he said, oh, so sorry for keeping you waiting. And I was like laying on my back, and I'd been there. He was running about 15 minutes late. And so I was just laying on the bed waiting for him. And as I was waiting for him, I'd set the intention on the way to the chiropractor, because I've decided to be more intentional about my life in general. And so I thought, right, why am I going? I go to the chiropractor once a month because I like to keep my physical body in as good shape as possible for the amount of training that I do and the kind of training that I do. It's quite, rigorous, quite yang. So I like to make sure that I'm supporting myself in as many ways as possible with massage or chiropractic or whatever else I feel to do. So I was just going for my monthly kind of MOT really. But as I was in the car, I was like, okay, be intentional about this. Why are you going to the chiropractor today, apart from the physical benefits? And I began to feel into this supporting myself and my system in the releasing of anything else that no longer serves me, and anything that might be clogging up my channel in its ability to pull through my full potential of what I'm really meant to be doing in the world right now. I've been feeling very tired of social media. I've been feeling like there's so much noise, there's so many people kind of jostling and fighting for attention, and how can I be bigger? How can I be more vulnerable? How can I be bolder? And actually, in my quest to get my message into the world, at times, you know, that's felt really good to be part of that. But recently I've just been feeling into, I would rather drop more deeply into my own personal alignment, really get clear on my own unique essence and frequency in this world, so that I can show up and just be more me, which is what I help people to do, right? So it makes sense that in order for me to help my clients get to the next level, I also need to be taking care of that within myself. And so when I was at the chiropractor, I was laying on the bed and I was like, right, okay, that's my intention. And then I just let the intention go and just trusted it would happen. So as I'm lying on the bed, I start to get this little like flicker of excitement in my solar plexus, in my heart area. And I was like, ooh, what's that? I haven't felt that in a long time. And in that moment, I was like, fuck, I haven't felt excited about creating something new in a while, you know, since the business coven really, and the witch rune activation I did a few months ago. I used to be so connected that I'd just be like bam, 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 and I was creating things all the time, and everything I create was like the best thing I'd ever created, and then the next thing, that was the best thing, and that was the most exciting. And I haven't had that kind of prickle of excitement in a long time. So when I felt into that today, I felt really heartened that it had come back. And when I reflected, when I kind of felt into that little sparkle of excitement, I could feel this little like, almost like, you know, a sparkler on bonfire night, this little, it was literally like that. I could just feel this little like flickering sparkler in my belly. And I just thought, oh, it feels so good. And my first instinct would normally be, it's very different this time, but normally my instinct would be, right, quick, let's use that. Let's get it out there. And that's why we tend to burn out, right? If you're like me and you have those like, go, 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 and you tend to just like, ignite and off you go. And then you're like, fuck, now I've burnt out and I'm bored of what I'm selling. Damn it. Which has been my past pattern. When I felt this little flicker, this little sparkler in my belly, rather than trying to force it to grow, I just sat with it. I just felt it. And as I sit with it and feel it, it's like this little, feels like my inner child, you know? She's like playing with the sparkler. She's like sitting there like, wow. Just looking at it and just being like in awe of this sparkle. And as I sat there, or as I lay there on the bed, I was just feeling it like, wow, if I just nurture this sparkler, nurture this inner child that is in awe of my ability to create and feel and connect, what amazing things can happen from that space. And so I'm just allowing it. And when I was driving back from at the end of the session, I was kind of explaining all this to my chiropractor, because he's, you know, like basically a shaman in a suit, you know. He's like secret shaman. He works with everybody, and it's like a very kind of clinical environment, but like, yeah, he's an old soul for sure. And so we talk about all sorts of things. And at the end of the session, he just said to me, I really felt what you were talking about. And he like held his heart, and he was like, I really felt what you were saying about giving yourself that space and nurturing that inner child. And he said, if you can, hold on for another couple of weeks, keep nurturing that feeling, because I feel like this is going to be a really big turning point for you. And I just looked at him and I was like, I know, it feels big, but I'm allowing it the space. And it's so unusual for me to do that I know it's right. Yeah. So there are times in our life where that drive and that push and that bam is so potent, and it's exactly what's needed. But I'm definitely feeling into this next level of my evolution, my personal evolution, where I know I have the ability to do that. And it's actually, quote unquote, scarier, although I'm not scared at all. I just feel really good about it. The past me might have been scared about doing this, but I'm not. It feels just so right that I'm following it and trusting and having faith. But it would have been scary for me previously to have sat with the stillness for as long as I have. And I remember a few weeks ago I pulled the archetype card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck, and it was the empty room. And when I looked into it, it was basically just, and every time I've done like any kind of reading, there's been this energy of get okay with the nothingness, because we have a tendency as humans to try and find a solution for things, and we see the nothingness, the space, the void, the stillness, and the empty cup, if you like. We find, or the empty room rather, we find that so uncomfortable because we're living, or we're shifting out of that old paradigm of needing to be busy and doing and showing how busy we are all the time. We're shifting into this new way of being, where there might be times where there's just a lot of space for us to be and play and expand and feel and become. And then we move forward from that place, and it makes our action from that place is so much more potent. It's such a, it packs way more of a punch, because we're in deepest alignment. We're not just in a flickering moment of alignment of okay, go. It's so deeply aligned with the core of ourselves, with our unique essence and frequency. We can't be out of alignment because we're so grounded in who we are and what we're here for. I'd love to know if this is resonating with anyone, any part of it, whether it's the part about needing to do all of the things or being in resistance of that, or whether you're also feeling into this pull and this call to take space and be at peace with taking that space. Because I've taken space before, but it usually is brought on by or induces some kind of existential crisis where I'm like, oh my God, I feel so uninspired. So that means that I need to force something. I need to make something happen, or maybe I need to change my career completely and burn my business to the ground. And one of the things I was speaking to my boyfriend about this morning on our walk, which, first thing in the morning, I'm having all these enlightened thoughts. I'm being Guru Noor, yes, I am the sage. I'm getting the downloads from the divine. And, he's just trying to keep up with what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, Norley, whatever you say. Throwing sticks for the dog, my girlfriend's crazy. But what I said to him was very powerful, and I want to share that with you. This is the piece about identity. And the way I explained it to him was, he used to smoke years ago when we first got together. So it's almost like when you shift on an identity level from being a smoker to a non-smoker, there's a big period of time there where most people will think of themselves as someone who I have not been smoking for a year, or I've been a non-smoker for 4 years, 5 years. They're still using this point here, this identity of being a smoker 4 or 5 years ago. They're still using that as a measuring stick, rather than just putting a new stick in the ground and being I'm a non-smoker, I'm moving forward from there. And energetically what this does is it creates a massive amount of resistance and a massive amount of struggle in moving forward. So rather than thinking even about releasing an old identity, it's really about understanding and claiming where you are now and kind of putting a stake in the ground now. So the way that I explained it earlier, which just made so much sense to me and how it feels in my body, and very much where I'm at right now with creating all of this space, it feels like I've needed this space in order to fully drop into where I am now and allow my system to fully calibrate and own all the shifts that have happened in the last 5 or 6 years since I started my business. 6 years, I think. So if you imagine, for me it was the fat kid. We'll use the fat kid because that was mine, right? I've been pulling against, so stake in the ground, fat kid, say age 5 or 6 or whatever, 8, being at primary school. Stick in the ground, fat kid, that's the identity. And then for 30 years, I've been pulling away from that. So it's almost like there's a bungee attached to this stake in the ground and I'm like pulling against it. So every time I take a step forward away from being the fat kid and I claim some kind of new identity for myself, or through behaviors and new thoughts and beliefs, and I'm doing my best, I'm really trying, I'm putting the work in, I'm pulling against it, it's just creating more and more resistance, and every time it's like I just smack back harder. When I create a new stake in the ground today, like, actually, I'm a fucking athlete. Like, I train like a beast and I love training and I eat well and I take care of myself. When I put a stake in the ground today and I feel forward from here, there's no resistance. Do you understand? So even when in terms of business expansion, when I first started, boom, stake in the ground. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm starting my own business, I'm building a business. I've been spending the last 6.5 years really pulling against that. And all of those wins and all of those magical things that have happened, there might have been like little matchsticks in the ground along the way. But I've still in some way, and this is my realization today, I've still in some way been kind of seeing myself as this person back here 6.5 years ago when I started my business. And when I take that stake out of the ground, let that go, and put a new one in today, it's like, I'm a 6-figure business owner. I'm an international best-selling author. I've served hundreds and hundreds of clients, at least hundreds of clients over the last 6.5 years in various ways. That's a very different place to be than someone who's having to work part-time walking dogs to support themselves, is freaking out about paying their rent, all of those things, to being this person I am now who can quite happily, take a drop in my income if I need to, because I'm still cool and on track for a 6-figure year, regardless of whether I make more sales or not. Like, that's a fucking different place to be. But if I'm still using 6.5 years ago as a measuring stick, then I'm still it's almost like still trying to prove yourself, or still like looking back going, but look, I have done well. It's like, what if you just let that go, put a stake in the ground today and went, I'm moving forward from here, not from there. I'm not building on this. I'm starting today and I'm moving forward from here. And I think this is where so many people trip themselves up, is because they don't actually allow the work that they've done to fully integrate. And that doesn't mean that I'm still not working with coaches and doing clearing and meditating and all of the good stuff. I'm still doing it all, but I'm doing it from a place of what feels good to me today. Excuse me, just releasing that. So anyway, yeah, how is this landing with you guys? Does this analogy make sense to you, of like this stake in the ground, like this bungee that you're pulling against? Like, what if you gave yourself permission to take enough space and time to fully become the person you are now, and then made decisions from this place? Pregnant, creating life within me, and I feel myself just making space for her, allowing myself to be okay with letting go of things no longer serving me and feeling into the space. Lush. Sounds good, Taylor. Anyone else out there got any reflections on how this has resonated with them and where they're at on their current journey with this? And I share this from a very, it's very alive in me right now, this particular concept. And I've never really been able to articulate quite as clearly as I was able to just then, and when I was on my walk with my boyfriend this morning. So it feels like a very potent realization, and something that I will now be able to take forward. Because it's one thing to understand that, release the past, you are where you are now, just keep moving forward. But if you feel like you're just keeping moving forward and moving away from something that was such a long time ago, such an outdated version of who you believe yourself to be, that's a very different feeling from just deciding to go, right, this is who I am today and who I am now. And for the next chapter of my life, whether that's a day, a week, a year, or a decade, I'm going to be moving from this place. just means you're not taking such fucking baggage with you all the time. And yeah, there are processes like the spiral and the one I'm going through at the moment called the Philosopher's Stone, which I'll be able to facilitate in the new year. You know, there are things like this that we can do that feel like these rites of passage. But you don't need to do those things, right? You don't need to do those things. You could do this just by deciding. I like to do those things because they have just always, it's just my model of the world. They really help me to feel like I've released things and been able to step into this new version of self more boldly, because I can recognize and acknowledge consciously with the old conscious mind loves something to chew on. So it's like I can see and feel and, you know, consciously, logically understand with the mental body what I've released and what I've called in, which makes it a bit easier for me as a human. But not everyone needs to do that. You don't actually need to keep excavating shit all the time. As I say often in my work, like, it's great to do the deconstructing of things, but it's really like, know where you're going, know why you feel you need to deconstruct shit first. If you just feel like you need to keep deconstructing it can come from that place of like, I'm not enough, I need to get rid of all of this stuff, all of this crap. And it's like, well, you might need to, but you also might not need to. It is possible. You do have permission to just decide and move forward from this point here today. So make a claim for your life, decide what you're calling in and who you're stepping into, put a new stake in the ground today, and be brave enough and bold enough to drown out the noise from external sources. Anything that is contradictory to what you feel inside. If you're in a space of full momentum right now and that feels fucking amazing, do that. But if you're feeling like you want to slow down and allow space, even if it feels like a fucking crazy amount of space and you're letting a lot of things just fall away, know that if that is what you are being called to do from inside of yourself, then it's the right thing. And just be mindful of external sources being absorbed, because what you've got to remember is that every external source, every mentor or coach or spiritual leader or someone that you follow online, we're all at our own points in our journey as well. So some of us are in a massive growth phase. Others are in this recalibration, integration before we launch again. Some might be in a complete deconstruction of self, really excavating and in the shadows because that's what they need to do right now. It doesn't mean that that's where you have to be. Just because you resonate with the teachings of somebody or the message of somebody, if you love that person and you really respect their work, that's fucking awesome. Doesn't mean that you have to be exactly where they are. If you're feeling, I mean, you might be, and it might be a call from your soul to kind of align with a different frequency and kind of, you know, if they're igniting something in you that feels good. But just be so mindful of continually coming back to what it feels like inside of you. You don't have to stay still. Just because that's what I'm talking about right now in my messaging, if that's not where you are on your journey, that's okay. I'm not telling you you have to slow down. If you want to go faster, go fucking faster. Like, go. But my point is, be bold enough and brave enough and in your sovereignty and fucking grounded enough in who you are, in your purpose and your essence, to know that you can still respect and follow and be inspired by other people, but ultimately be bold enough to say yes to what lives inside of you. That is all. Have an amazing rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Let me know the main thing you're taking away from this live stream in the comments below. Tag me if you want to say hello and I will say hello back. And I hope that this has been helpful. Mwah. Have the most amazing day. Bye.